This is just going to be a quick one on AN lines. If AN lines and putting them together and a couple little tips and tricks sounds like it might be interesting to you, stick around. Now I'm just modifying the way my transcooler is in my car. It I could tell it wasn't doing what it should do for what it is. And I got looking at it, and one of the lines was kinked fairly badly, and it wasn't allowing nearly the flow that it should have. So I moved it, and I added a fan to force air through it. And I'm just going to show you, I actually had to remake the lines because I raised it up where it would be into a little bit better airflow and not kind of tucked underneath the bumper. So I'm just going to show you a little trick that I figured out regarding putting AN lines together. I guess, but before I do, I'll just show you what I did to my my transcooler. I had to pull the grill out to get room to do all this. So it's already starting to go back together. But I put this little fan on my transcooler just to blow air through it based on this. I think it comes on at 180, goes off at 165 if I remember. Now I might have to move that actually in case because there's going to be right in this area here. There's going to be the bucket for the signal light, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's what I'm doing for my transcooler. It was way lower. It was like way down here, and it really was out of the airflow, unfortunately. So hopefully being up there, being in the airflow, and having that fan in there, it should keep the trans nice and cool like I expect it would. Another bad thing was I don't know if you can see down there, but way deep down in there, there's a couple of bulkhead fittings, and there's just -6 lines coming up to the cooler. One of them, like they were obviously a lot shorter before because this was about maybe 4 or 6 inches lower than it is now, and one of them was kinked off. So that was obviously impeding flow pretty significantly as well. I'm willing to bet that even just moving this thing might have been enough to solve my bit of an issue. But anyway, it's got a fan, it's got a thermostatic switch, and that's what I done to try and solve my transcooler issue. Now, just in case anybody didn't know or they were interested, AN stands for Army Navy, and as far as I know, that's where this type of line and fitting started. Just an Army military spec sort of a fitting, and they're great. As far as an explanation of what you got, -6 is equivalent to 6 30-seconds or 3/8. -8 8 30-seconds, ½ inch. -10 10 30-seconds, 5/8, and on and on and on and on, just like that. So they're great. They're a really nice option. I use them for my fuel lines. I use them for my transmission cooler lines. Trying to think if there's anything else that I use them for, but I mean, I'll use them any chance I get because they got a nice looking leak-free setup for any hose that you need anywhere. If there's a downside to it, it is cost. The better you buy, the better the fittings are. Honestly, the best ones, and maybe there's better ones out there, I don't know. The best ones that I've found are from a company called Red Horse. I've got a couple of their fuel line kits for Holley carburetors, and I've got a sprinkling of some of the Red Horse fittings on my car and some not. And you can tell when you're using them compared to the slightly cheaper ones, like maybe the Summit brand or the can't think of the name of the other ones that I use, Performance World, but they're both good. They work good too. but the Red Horse ones, they're just that much nicer, that much better quality, and it just, you know what it's like when you have a quality tool in your hand, you can feel it. Same thing with these Red Horse fittings. I'm a fan. Now to cut it, I just used it like this is the nylon braided. It's not obviously the stainless braided, but I really like this nylon braided stuff. I just took and I wrapped it with some electrical tape and I cut it with a brand new super sharp razor knife right in the dead center. And there's honestly no better way to cut them than that. So that's not the big deal. That's just something I wanted to mention. But what I want to show you is putting the first piece onto the hose. Now this, I guess you call it the nut part that slides onto the hose. I always have a hell of a time sliding this thing all the way onto the hose, but I kind of come up with a bit of a hack, a bit of a trick that seemed to work real good. First thing I did is I just took a little bit of this. It's just kind of a light lubricant oil, and I just put just a little wee bit in there. Put this in a socket in the little 3/8 drive impact. And obviously this, you gotta peel this tape off before you put the nut on. But I mean, without allowing that to fray at all, just put the nut together on there. And if you look, that's, I don't know if you can see, but that's about as far into there as you can get. Whereas sometimes, at least I anyway, have a hell of a time getting that shoved in there as far as I'd like it to be to put together an AN line. So I screwed up the first time I recorded this, but when I put these things together, what I normally do is I'll put a wrench in the vise like that, and I'll hold the one side like that, and I've got this this ratcheting flat wrench, and I just wing that sucker over there, and I bring that to drive it home tight, and that's the way I found like kind of the best, easiest way to make those happen. Now, also, when I tighten them up just so they touch. I don't jam them in there real hard or nothing like that. But honestly, of all the years I've been doing AN lines, which is, I don't know, I guess I did my first one 10 years ago, something like that, I have never had one fail or leak. They're a real nice option for doing this kind of thing. So I guess that's what I know about it anyway. Now I know a lot of fellers are going to be talking about how I should use the proper AN wrenches and stuff like that. And honestly, my car is the furthest thing from a show car. She's a driver. She's as practical as all can get out. And honestly, these fittings, even if I was worried about it, nobody sees them where they are anyway. So I'm not in the least bit worried about marring it up by using a steel wrench on an aluminum fitting. And this little thing about using the impact to drive that nut onto the hose, I tried it. It worked real good. Thought I'd share it with everybody. Hope somebody benefits from that at some point. So appreciate you watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. It's free. And then you'll get a bit of a notification every time I put out a little blurb on things that I do and things that I learn in the shop. Thanks for watching.